So the lovely Paul Levy is going to be joining us on stage. The title of his talk, Approaching the Technological Singularity, How Your Digital Life is Going to Unmake Your Physical Life. Which sounds fascinating. So some questions. What will life be like when over 50% of humanity is more than 50% connected, even physically, to the digital world? So we're talking Fitbits and things here. And is the Matrix coming true? Are the rise of artificial intelligence, robots and virtual reality something we should be excited about? Probably not if you're Tiger, and embrace. Or is this a good time to frown a little, wake up, go out and fly with a paraglider? So appearing on stage for the second time at Inspiring Talks, and sadly I wasn't here for your first one, let's find out what Paul Levy wants to share with us. Approaching the technological singularity, how your digital life is going to unmake your physical life.
I have these memories, and they are as clear as the experience of being with you now. One of those memories, I don't know how old I am, but I am in a pram or a cot, and I'm looking up, and I have the fear of somebody not long in the world. And there's a sort of a curiosity there at these two faces looking down on me, and one lifts me up. And she is looking after me, and I think it's like a nursery school. And it's really clear. And I can remember the intense blank sheet of paper that the world was, and I knew nothing. And then there's another memory, and we're running in the street of where we lived, and all the kids down the street are doing that. We have to ask to cross the road, because it's a bit dangerous, but other than that, health and safety hasn't yet been invented. And we ride on the back of the greengrocer van to the end of the road, and it's the most exciting bit of danger I remember. There is the strange man down the garages, and we dare each other to see how far we can go around the corner, because the strange man is there. And I can picture the strange man now, because I made him up. And he was different from your strange man or your strange man, but he existed for us, and we made him. And then I can remember Stephen Jones is on the other side of the road, because he's a tearaway, which means he tears himself away from his family and the rules, and he runs across the road that we're not allowed to do, and a car comes round and smashes into him, and he goes up onto the bonnet. And an ambulance is called, and the family are worried, and he's got a kind of big scar here, and there's blood coming down, and he's crying. And we met up on Facebook a couple of years ago, and he's really glad it happened. It was a part of what made him, and we all kind of glad that the car hit him, because it kind of made who we were too, and made us realise that we weren't as brave as him to tear away. And then we jump forward quite a long time just because of time, and I had my first go at a game on a computer called a BBC Micro, which has 32K of memory. And though I don't avoid going out into the street, we still do, we go over the park, but I'm on it more and more and more, and this is the 1970s. Now we jump ahead, and we jump ahead not quite now, but about 10 years ago, and social media is arriving, and email is arriving, and what's quite interesting for me is a book arrives not that far beyond me being about 40, I guess, and it's called The Technological Singularity. And it imagines, and actually this is futurism, this is an attempt at science to predict a year, which is 2046, though some people say it's slightly later, where the digital world is going to have a controlling interest in who we are, because we're going to be plugged into it. And something interests me about that, because I have a career in research that's fascinated me about it, so this becomes my bag as well. And that is something I'm interested in, because smartphones are apparently getting smarter, and we're spending more and more time on them, and I'm fascinated by that. And then I notice at one point, as Dad gets older, that he starts to show us the videos he took of various weddings and parties, and Dad's never in them because he's always behind the camera. He's always behind the camera. and what's interesting is, almost on every film at some point, they tear away the camera tearing away seems to be a good thing to do. They tear it out of his hand and they turn it on him, and he's there at the wedding for the first time. And he looks like a child because he doesn't want to be on the camera, but what's happened is in that moment, he's finally arrived at the wedding of his own family. Now we come to this position where these phones have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of images, and we don't know what to do with them. But worst of all is we don't remember them. And I write a book about it based on my research. And in that book is the idea is, isn't there a new skill set to create if this is so amazingly brilliant? So you take your camera, and what you do is, and it takes a bit of practice to do it, is you hold up the camera, I won't take the picture, and you learn how to frame it and press the picture. And they're better pictures, and you're there. And we have the evidence now that if you photograph the wedding to save money, you don't remember, I'm going to swear, a fucking thing of your son or daughter's wedding because you were staring at it through a pixelated screen that is flashing on and off and putting you into a trance state. What a miserable bastard I am to down this great thing that we all have, and this ritual of 10 minutes where we will say he's so right or he's an arsehole, but we'll go away and carry on with the fix that goes with it. Now, this book predicts that in 2046, or maybe later, this is what starts to happen, and this is not judgment, this is simply prediction and maybe description. You in your job will not forget anything, because a combination of digital medicine, that's chemicals, will enable the electric chips and bits of technology in your brain to enable you to remember just what you need to remember. We will banish the loss of memory as we get older. And as I get older, I fucking love forgetting. It's important to forget. It's important to create space for new memory. But that's perhaps me not getting the technology. Because what happens is, as a facilitator, sometimes in workshops now, I will not only forget nothing, but my little glasses will tell me exactly who you are and tell me whether you're lying. And we won't need to make any notes because it's already been collected by our Amazon Alexa. And actually, when I speak a load of bullshit, a voice says, that's bullshit, because it's already using AI. This is all coming. I can have implanted into my finger a little chip that will get me into every room, work the photocopier, pay with money. That's here right now. The brilliant miracle that says, if heaven forbid you have an accident or you have a disease or a condition that says you're completely paralyzed and can't even move, it's no longer going to be the clunkiness of a keyboard, that takes a minute or two to type one letter, because we've discovered that when you think something, your larynx or your voice box can move slightly, and that can be picked up by a chip, and it can actually start to create normal talking. And we will give voice to those that cannot speak. The problem is the free version, because the whole of the internet, and Kurzwell predicts it, the controlling interest is currently not in the public domain, but in the private domain. The free version means as you try to speak something like you say, can you recommend me a good restaurant? The one I want to recommend in the free version is my voice box changes and I have to say terre à terre. When I wanted to say Pompoko. Sorry, advertising, whoops. So we go even further. We go into the future. We have the miracles of a little nano-robot that can find its way into your body and cure and cut out a particular tumour with accuracy and no side effects. Unfortunately, hacked into, it's a tool of terrorism and crime, and it can eat up and cut up your liver within seconds, leaving you dead. We already have the fact that the old pacemakers were all set with a password of 0000. Could be switched off and hacked into at any time. So lots of people are being offered now a new operation. But soon we'll have the ability to set our own dead day. It'll be digitalis. It will be the ability to say, I want to end my life, and the technology will just simply end it. You then have the possibility to, and I asked my mother this when Dad died about 1.5 years ago, and I did ask it genuinely. You might think it was a bit unkind, but I said, Mum, if you could have an Android version of Dad back, or a version of Dad 20 years ago, before he started getting ill, would you? And she said, no bloody way. But part of it is the celebration that things are over and do not need to continue and do not need to be reframed. I mentioned at the last talk, just to notice it, that your timeline on Facebook is a status message, and all you're being asked to do is constantly say stuff make decisions, and the button is called submit, which means surrender. I invited myself to love this technology, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't scrutinize it. Just at the time that corporations are using it to lower our willpower so that we become part of a crowd that it can control, the technology is then not used properly. The question is, you get told that your body is unfortunately cancer-ridden, but your brain is fine, and we can transplant you using robotic surgery into another body. Are you one of those that says yes? You are 90 years old, dementia is kicking in. We can put stuff into your brain that will give you another 10, 20, 30 years. Do you want to live to your 120? You can, if you want, transport your whole identity into an electronic brain. And that electronic brain will put you into a computer where you'll have an entire life, a hallucination that can last for eternity. And that eternity is as believable as now, with the help of a bit of biology and a bit of chemicals too. Here's what maybe happens. You do that. The brain, the biological brain, is switched into the physical brain. And the physical brain is now electronic. And up on the screen pops you, and you say, hello, it's me. But meanwhile, and let's just speculate, in the technological singularity, 51% of you, we believe, is in that computer, and it starts to ramp up to 100%. But your soul has just entered the realm of eternal nightmare somewhere else. Thank you.